What is up, guys? So today we're going to talk about the police station, the police cells, and the police force in general, because we're a bit of a laughing stock these days, the police. If you look at the police force now, it's all young lasses full of makeup and like 17-year-old gaming nerds, and it don't look good for the police force. They've got Americans laughing at us, doing videos like Asmongold, doing videos of the police going to arrest people for Snapchat, for like criticising schools and just for saying words. What I can understand if you threaten someone or you're being like totally racist, using the N-word and all that sort of stuff, then you do get locked up for things like that. But now you're getting locked up for, there's one I saw of somebody criticised the school, saying, "Oh, this school's no good," and they've been locked up, and there's like 6 coppers gone to arrest them. It's crazy. So that's what we're going to talk about today, because I saw something yesterday what really put things into perspective for me. And I was out with the dog on the field, and there's a kid who lives a few doors down from me. I know him really well, and he's a struggling addict. And I was walking the dog, and as I was coming back, he was like loitering on the corner of the field. So I just had a bit of banter with him. Said, "What are you mounging about at? What are you up to?" And he says, "Oh, the police are at my house now." And the police had gone to his house. They were searching his house, probably looking for him. I didn't ask him why. And he was probably, I don't know if he was wanted for recall to prison. But yeah, he was wanted by the police, and that reminded me of me a few years ago, because I was in that position. So and anyway, I walked past him and I looked over, and there was police at his house, so they must have been looking for him, and he was hiding on the field. So I've come home, I've jumped on my bike, I went into town, had a little fly around town, get a bit of exercise, clear the head. And I've come back home, and then I've decided to cut the grass, and as I've gone out to cut the grass, the coppers have come flying round the corner, screeching, boxed him in, and he must have been sat in the car. So all the coppers have jumped out, grabbed him, locked him up, and he might be in the cells right now as I'm making this video, I don't know. And it reminded me of, because I used to be that guy, I used to be him. With the police come in, searching the house all the time, you're always looking around, you don't know if they're outside. Every time a diesel engine goes by, you're jumping behind the settee, and it's miserable. It's a miserable existence. So I'm so glad I'm out of that life. And it's easy to focus on the negatives, like what I do is sometimes I'll get down and depressed because I'm not where I want to be, or I can't do certain things that I want to do. And it's easy to get like that, especially in the country the way it is now. And I've always said that mass immigration's ruined the country, and people give me stick about it, but it's my opinion, I'm entitled to my opinion, and I always say it how I see it. And it's my opinion that the country's knackered now, because when I was growing up, let's say if somebody got stabbed in the neck when I was growing up, it'd be front page news, it'd be on the news for a week. Breaking story, it'd be huge. Now it doesn't even get on the TV. Someone gets stabbed in the neck. It's so common. Happened yesterday in Doncaster, or the day before. There was someone got stabbed in the neck. I read the story about it. And not long ago, 2 lads got killed in town by one of these silly names, Mustaf, Bakadov. It's always the foreigners. And that's what it's like now. It's so dangerous on the streets, but people don't want to talk about it because they don't want to seem like the racist. But the statistics don't lie. That's why they don't put the statistics out, because they know the foreigners, they just ruin the country. And even this morning, I was watching something this morning. I think it was called Incident Room or something, and it was the usual Mustaf, Bafdov, and they've gone in a car, they've drove past the business and shot the windows out. And they've ended up killing a young lass, and they've done that, and then they've bought a ticket back to wherever they came from, because that's what they do. They'll come over here, they do what they want, they'll kill someone, and then they'll just jump straight on a plane back to wherever they came from. And that's what they did. But the coppers really went after this guy, caught him, and it was 2 rival businesses, and Mr. Mustaf Bofdov has hired someone to come and shoot the other place up. and he's ended up killing a young lass, and they've got him from this other country, and they've got all of them. And as usual, I was watching it, I was like, yeah, but they'll only get fucking 9 years, they'll only get 5 years. Because, the two-tier justice system, they hardly even get locked up anymore. They kill someone and they'll get probation. It's crazy, but if an English person goes and throws a few stones at a migrant hotel, they're getting 10 years. So I'm thinking, they're not going to, they're not getting out for it. It'll be manslaughter. They'll get 5 years. They'll be out in 3. And then they've gone and caught him, they've gone up, and they all got lifed off. They all got 30 plus years. And even the getaway driver got 15 years, this young lass. And I'm thinking, fucking hell, they've slammed them. And I couldn't believe it. I thought, that's strange, they don't usually do that. And then I realised the young girl that got shot was a young migrant girl. So that's why they've slammed them, that's the only reason. If it had been a young English girl, probably wouldn't have even, got 2 years or something like usual. But yeah, it's very easy to get caught up in the negativity, especially in Doncaster. I mean, no one speaks English in Donny anymore. It's never been as dangerous as what it is now. There's rubbish all up and down the streets. And that's just my experience. That's what I'm seeing. If it was flourishing with this immigration, if it was really safe and all the foreigners were going, hey, are you all right? Morning. But it's not like that. Half of them can't speak English and they just get dead-eye when you walk past. So that's why I've got that opinion based on what I've seen. And it's easy to be negative and forget about the positive. Because every morning I'll go out on my bike, well, not every morning, but when I do, I'll go through Doncaster town centre and I'm coming past people in doorways, and people sat there, especially with a chilly morning when it's frosty, they'll be laid there in the doorway with the sleeping bag and the little dog. And it reminds me of where I used to be and how far I've come to be where I am now. So you should always be thankful for what you've got, even if all you've got is a bedsit, I remember when I was homeless, I used to miss, the thing I missed most was somewhere where I could just go, sit down and just have a half intelligent, decent conversation instead of talking about drugs and stealing and all that sort of stuff. And it's horrible when you've got nowhere to go. So even if you've just got somewhere to go, then you've got more than some. But yeah, the police cells, that kid will probably be in the police cells right now. And it's horrible in them cells. You lose track of everything. The only reason you know what time it is because of the weather. Well, not the weather, because, it gets dark. And then that's when you know what time it is, because you lose track of everything. There's an old saying in the criminal world saying, I'd rather do a month in prison than a week in the cells, because you just lose track of everything. And it's even worse when you're detoxing from drugs. And when I used to get locked up, like back in the early 90s, oh man, it's a lot better now than what it was back then. It's still crap now though. But there used to be like a black tar floor, sticky horrible floor. You'd get a blue dirty crash mat. It'd be freezing cold because you'd be detoxing from drugs. The walls were like a horrible dull yellow with piss and snot up the walls, and just there's always someone screaming and shouting. The best thing to do in the cells is as soon as you get in, just get your head down and just sleep as much as you can. But there's always some knobhead banging on doors, some drunk idiot. And if you miss the court, then you're there till the next available court. So, but when you're detoxing, you can't sleep. So you're struggling all day, and then you've got to be up all night, and you're ill, you're puking, you're freezing cold because you ain't got your drugs, and you feel sick, you can't eat you can barely drink out. It's a horrible, and there's a smell, I can't explain the smell, it's just one of those, it's like trying to explain a colour, you can't do it. It's just a rattling smell, they call it, and it must be all the drugs coming out of your body, out of your pores, or whatever it is. It's kind of like a disinfectant-y, musty, weird smell. Yeah, I can't really explain it. And then you get these itchy green, horrible blankets, so you're always bloody, one minute you're red hot, and then you're freezing cold, you're tossing, turning, sneezing, you're in pain. Oh, it's horrible. And they did used to give you DFs, I think. Is it DFs or DD1Fs or something? Which was, they'd give you 2 little tablets and it would last you like a couple hours, and they would give you them every 6 hours. So it would take away the worst part of the detox, but you're still detoxing. And then you'd be sat in the cells, waiting for the court. See, an average arrest for me, it'd be like I'd get locked up at 1 p.m. They'd keep me till the next morning. Then they'd interview me. I'd miss the court, and then they'd keep me for the next court, and then so I'd be in roughly like 2 days. And that's what it's like in those police cells. It's horrible. It's miserable. It's one of the worst places in the world. And it's just even worse if you're detoxing from drugs. And the police officers now, like I said, they're all young girls. They're all, you see videos of them and they're out talking to people and they don't even know the law. They're like, oh, well, like someone will say to them, oh, is that illegal? And they'll say, oh, I don't know. And they'll Google it on the spot. They don't even know what they're doing. They don't know how to communicate. A normal arrest will be like a couple of youths and they'll start abusing the coppers. The coppers will grab them because they don't know how to talk to them, and then they'll end up rolling on the floor, locking them up, and then they'll go to prison. And if they assault coppers now, no, what happens? They don't even get charged. See, when I was growing up, if you assaulted a copper, they'd give you a good hiding in the cells. I remember when they was chasing me on my bike, I was flying on my bike, and they come up behind me. They didn't even know if I was wanted, they just thought I was. And they were saying, pull over, and I was on my bike going down this hill, fast as fuck, boy. And I said, no, I'm not stopping, and they just fucking ran me off. Could have killed me. I did about 9 somersaults, and then they locked me up. And he says, well, that's what you get when you run from the police. And I was wanted, so they dropped on there. And I remember when I hit one of them with a bit of wood, when I was drunk, they had me mate in headlock, so I've run up and whacked him. And then they've took me to the cells, cuffed me, took all my clothes off and give me a few digs. Because that's what happens. If you mess with the police, you get dealt with. But now coppers can't do that. So if someone's getting arrested, they start abusing the coppers, they start punching the coppers, and if the coppers do out back, then they get done, and they get a reward, they get like compensation. It's crazy. They didn't say out because they'll just get called racist. So the coppers, I feel sorry for them. I saw one arrest on, I don't know what it was, 24 hours in police custody or something, and he's coming up, this copper, he's knocked on the door, he said, oh, we're going to have to arrest you. Is that all right? Are you all right to come down? I'm like, just fucking take him, you know what I mean? You're in charge, not him. But then you look over to America. They don't play that in America. No chance. If you mess about with the cops in America, you're getting shot. You're getting one in the leg. And they'll come up, get down. They really take it serious. Some of them go too far. But then they'll take them, they'll put them in the cells. And like in England, if you get caught for something, again, I saw it on a programme a couple of days ago. And there's this guy who stabbed someone, what a surprise, Mr. Mustafa or Mohammed, whoever it was, and stabbed someone, killed him, and the coppers arrested him. And he's admitting it, he's saying, yeah, I did, I stabbed him, yeah. And the coppers saying, oh, don't say out, you're being recorded, mate, get yourself a solicitor. I thought, fucking shut up, he's admitting it, you prick. And then when they're interviewing him, they're giving him a way out, saying, oh, well, why did you do it? Did you lose control of your mind? And I'm like, you're fucking giving him a way out here. Or if there's drug dealing, they'll say, oh, did you owe money out? And they're giving him a way to go, you know, to get out of it so they don't get as bad a sentence. And in America, it's totally the opposite. You know, they've got this thing called the Reed technique, which it's been clinically proven that it don't work. You know, it's bullshit. And what they do is they'll go in and they'll just pressure someone and trick them and use theatricality and props and deception, powerful agents for the uninitiated. And they'll go in and they'll sit down and they'll sit straight in front of them and they try and convince them not to have a lawyer. Not like in England where they say, oh, get your a solicitor, good no comment. Over there they try and trick you into doing it and they'll sit right in front of them. And I watch it and I think, fucking get him away. You know what I mean? Personal space, move back, mate. But they just let them sit right in front of them, and then they'll trick them and they'll say, oh yeah, we've got your fingerprints. If you don't admit it, then you're going to get the electric chair. So you might as well admit it now. There was one not long ago, might have been like a couple of months ago. One guy's come in and he's reported his dad missing. And the coppers have got him in the interview room, done the Reed technique, you know, brought all the props out, tricked him, made him convinced that he'd killed him, and made him say that he'd done it, because that's all they do. They make you say that you've done it, and then they've got a confession and you go to prison for the rest of your life. So they've got him in this room, they've pressured him, sat right in his face, tricked him and convinced him that he'd killed his dad, and then locked him up. And then his dad's come back from holiday a week later. Google it now, you can see it. His dad's come back from holiday, and he's like, where's my son who's in prison for your murders? He haven't fucking murdered me, I just didn't tell him I was on holiday. But they'd convinced this kid, if he didn't admit it, he was going to get, like, the electric chair. And that's what they do. So imagine how many, like, innocent people are in prison. We've seen it with Making a Murderer. That Stephen Avery, he came in, and he had an argument with some woman, and her husband were a copper, so they had it in for him. So then this woman gets beaten, raped. I don't know if she got murdered. And the copper says, oh, it's this guy, innit? Showed her a picture of Stephen Avery because he had a grudge against him. And so the woman's convinced herself, yeah, that's him. So now every time she sees him on an ID parade, she picks him out because that's what the copper showed her. And he's convinced her that he'd done it. So he's got like 18 years in prison. And then DNA comes out, he want him. So then they've let him go. And they've got him for another one now. Some woman went missing, turned up on his farm or whatever it was, his construction site, in one of his cars, because he had a wrecker with loads of cars. And this woman's gone missing, she's been murdered, and it ends up in one of his cars. And it was so dodgy. If you haven't seen it, Making a Murderer, go and watch it. It's so dodgy how they did it. They was phoning in this woman getting murdered on the police radios before she'd even been murdered. So you're like, hey, how do they know that? And you start thinking, did the coppers do it just to get him? And anyway, they searched his property, they didn't find anything tying him to this murder. And then 6 months later, they come back and then done another search, and this time they found DNA, blood. They found a key with fingerprints on it. It's like, well, where were all this the first time, dodgy as fuck. They've planted that, and then he went to court, and the solicitor's saying, well, how's his blood appeared then if he hadn't done it? No, the prosecution's saying, well, how did his blood get there? And they had his blood on file, so they've gone and got this blood, what they had on file, and it was in a test tube, and they've pulled it out, and it had an hole in the top, as though somebody stuck something in, pulled some blood out, you know what I mean? And now you're thinking, well, that's fucking dodgy. And then they got his brother for it. This fucking table squeaky. And then they got his brother, Brandon Dassey, and they did the read technique on him, and he's like mentally retarded. You can see he's sat there like that. He doesn't know what's going on. He was at school, and they're saying, oh, you've killed her, haven't you? And he's going, yeah. They're saying, right, well, we need you to say it. What did you kill her with? And he's like that, and then they're saying, you used a knife, didn't you? It was a knife, wasn't it? He's going, yeah. And then they're saying, well, we need you to say it. You cut her throat, didn't you? And he's going, yeah. And then afterwards, you could see, as soon as they left the room, it was like he was relaxed. And his mum came in, and he says, oh, they've just made me say all this stuff. And you could see he's not all there. He's mentally retarded. And his biggest concern was watching WrestleMania on the weekend, saying, oh, I'm not going to be able to watch WrestleMania. And it's like, they've took some guy and his retarded cousin or brother, whatever it was, and they're still in jail now. It's crazy. They know he hadn't done it. I mean, maybe Stephen Avery did do it, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. But his brother, Brandon Dassey, there's no way he was involved, and it's been proven that he wasn't involved. But he's still in prison because the prosecution from the case, the original case, keep coming back. And he's been put for release about 6 times, and they've put a block on it. This same guy every time. And this same guy who's putting a block on everything, he's been done for corruption since, and I think he's been sacked now. So it makes you wonder, how many times have they done this read technique, which is proven not to work. All these years they've been doing it. How many innocent people have they put in prison who haven't got DNA that can get them away with it, It makes you wonder. So the UK, in that regard, they have to make sure they get it right, and they usually do. I've dealt with the police numerous times, and I always get treated firmly, but fairly. And if they do come after me and give me a few digs in the cell, it's my own fault, Whereas in America, and money talks in America. They can, if you've got loads of money, you can get a good lawyer, you probably get out of it. You'll probably get away with the crime. But if you ain't got no money, you've got no lawyer, they're not bothered. They just throw you in prison and let you rot. And it makes you think, you know, if you haven't seen Making a Murderer, it's really interesting. I mean, I've just touched on the basics. Such a complicated case, but it's fascinating to watch. But yeah, so that's the difference between the UK police and the American police. The American police just pretty much do what they want. Money talks in America, whereas in England, it doesn't matter how much money you've got. If you've got £10 million, you're pretty much getting treated the same as someone with £1. You can't buy your way out of it. But anyway, that's the video for today. I hope you found it interesting, and I guess the message is just be thankful for what you've got, because like me, you know, like I said, I was feeling miserable and depressed. I'm not where I want to be. And then seeing him on the field, he's probably in the cells now, he's still caught up in it, so I'm a million miles away from that. And I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I was, you know. But anyway, that's the video for today. I've got bloody dogs doing somersaults. So if you like this video, press the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, nerf that pop.